Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Skyliners and Skywatchers. Welcome to the Vash Sky ParkCast. My name is, well, it's Vash Sky. And here I am going to bring you today's unbelievable set of news right here. Man, do we have so many different stories happening in the theme park universe, and also, too, around it with these layoffs affecting Disney right there. Will these Disney legends be replaced by AI? It would appear so. At least that's the allegation right there, as made by Bruce Vaughn. Maybe I might be reading in between the lines. But there are so many big things here. We just can't waste any time, and well, that's why we started just a little bit early. But I want to go ahead and bring on somebody who is a dear friend of mine, and the first time actually coming on the Vash Sky ParkCast. It is the one, the amazing Lorn Connor. Lorn! Are you back there, good sir? Oh, you are muted.
I may have to drop and come back in because I've got you stuttering like crazy, and I suspect it may be my system. So,
whoa!
Let me drop out, and I will come right back.
No problem at all. Go ahead and take your time, good sir. We all appreciate you and love your very fascinating insight right there. We also have maybe somebody a little bit more consistent right there. Somebody in the back producing our amazing show. Give it up for producer MJ. Hello there. MJ, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, everybody. Hello.
Hello there. Very good to have you
on my
there.
End. There was a little bit of a glitch on the other show, but I think that was, I don't know if it was me or StreamYard. You know, StreamYard has been acting up lately. Darn you, StreamYard.
Okay, and I'm coming in clear right now, right? We're not having that skipping issue that maybe Lorn is contending with right now. Okay, all right. We just want to make sure that the stream is healthy. I do believe it is, but please chat, let us know if there is anything going on, like those jingles. That's Tom actually putting that in the chat right there. Very cool. Yes, he is coming up with a new jingle or song that we might be able to use for Vash and Vixen. Members only stream that takes place every single Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern right there. So definitely check that out. A lot of people liked our preview stream that we had actually last Saturday. A lot of people were very into it and we're digging it a lot. So if you guys like that sort of thing, you can go ahead and become a member or a Sky Watcher here on this channel. That'll give you access to our Saturday streams. Very cool stuff. Thank you so much for coming on in. We have Juliet starting off strong, one of our amazing moderators in the chat right there. Evening Vash Sky ParkCast and Skyliners with the 2 British pounds sterling. Thank you so much for that awesome stuff right there. Let's see. Lauren's taking a little bit longer than I originally anticipated right now. I know there is a story near and dear to your heart, MJ. Let's go ahead and cover that right now, actually, because I think this one is an important story. It's small, but I think it does speak to wider things actually going on for the Walt Disney Company in general. Let's go ahead and see. Oh, wait. Do we have Lorn? Wait a minute. Hang on. Okay. And is Lorn good to go? Am I stuttering? Good sir. Okay, I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on in here. Lorn, do we have you again?
Way better. This is the I can actually hear you now, so we're good.
Absolutely. I want to go ahead and be respectful of your time, Lorn, because I know you only have a very limited, set of time to actually join us. So, MJ, I'm sorry, we'll have to save your story. Trust me, we're going to cover it. But we had a little bit of breaking news before this actual show right here, and I think Packing Protons, well, he let the cat out of the bag over there on that park place. This is some big time stuff. Let's go ahead and not waste any more time. All right, you are looking at a black screen, but it's actually the reveal of Luke Skywalker that took place 1 year ago for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. Yes, this was a big timeline shift here, which had already been shifting a little bit because Mandalorian was included and so forth, and that's not quite between the events of, 8 and 9 or 7 and I don't know where the previous timeline was. It was in the sequel trilogy, right? Because Kathleen Kennedy in her infinite wisdom said, no, we have more great, amazing Star Wars stories ahead of us than behind us. Well, Apparently, we are looking backward. You can see what Luke Skywalker ended up looking like. Well, today, folks, we had the reveal of another character to go along with this big timeline shift. And that is the one, the amazing, the incredible Han Solo. Oh, yes. Lorn, I really want to get your opinion on this to see if, did Disney nail it? Or did they come up short once again? Because I thought Luke, I like the costume, I like the elements. However, the wig, I don't think they nailed quite right. But this, he looks a lot better. There you go, from Walt Disney World News Today. First look, Han Solo meet and greet character coming soon to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. You can see right there in the preview images. Let's go ahead and showcase that video right there that Disney went ahead and revealed. I cannot play any of this music because it is unbelievably copywritten, but it features original John Williams scores. You can see him coming out of, well, the cantina, maybe where Han Solo might find himself on this planet. Lorn, your reaction to Han Solo?
I think he's overdoing the strut a little bit, but I get what he's trying to do.
Right.
I don't really like that they went with the brown pants, but other than that, I think it looks all right. It's fine.
Now, that's very interesting. The brown pants are not indicative of something like A New Hope, right? That's more akin to Empire Strikes Back. Is that right?
To me, they always appear blue-black. They're
Okay.
a darker color. I don't know that I've seen brown on Han before. The major difference in the pants, depending on which episode you are, is whether or not it's the red Corellian blood stripe or a yellow one. But
Right.
generally, I would expect a darker tone for the pants.
Yeah, I also expected a darker tone for the vest. Now, from what I understand, the character costumes that they're going with, I've heard it's a mix between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi in some respects. Now, we haven't seen Leia yet, but Leia will be joined by Han over there at the Millennium Falcon, over there at Smuggler's Run, over there in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So there you go. I've heard it's a mixture of the two in order so that it's more, I guess, in line with Luke Skywalker, the version that they actually brought out last year, as we set up there. Lorn, what say you? Do you think it's maybe consistent with that philosophy?
Yeah, I think they're definitely going with the Return of the Jedi version of Luke, and it's kind of difficult to tell because of the vest. I think he's wearing the Return of the Jedi shirt there. Timeline-wise, that's where I would expect them to be because they're also kind of dovetailing with the Mandalorian, which would be 5 years post Return of the Jedi. So my guess is that in actual timeline speak, if they're going to maintain some kind of chronology, this isn't really between Empire and Jedi. This would be after Jedi. I would guess probably 3 to 4 years before the start. Well, no, because Grogu is there as well, isn't he? So it would have to be post Mandalorian. So we're talking at least 5 to 6 years post Battle of Endor.
Okay, so this gets very strange, Lorn, because Darth Vader will also make an appearance in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like, where's the timeline going here?
Well, the idea of trying to have a timeline in the park, I've always thought is stupid.
Agreed.
Now, I do think that if it were me, I would be getting the round rectenna on top of the Falcon as soon as possible. That's because, I don't care how much Disney wants to defend the sequel trilogy. The fans are going to want the Falcon as they've known the Falcon for 50 years now, almost.
I agree.
And so I think trying to enforce some kind of a timeline for storytelling reasons, that's not why people are coming to your parks. This is kind of the same mistake that they made with the Galaxy's Edge Galactic Star Cruiser. The idea that their thinking was that people want to live in the Star Wars universe, so they're going to want to come and LARP for a few days to do this, and they'll pay thousands of dollars to do this. And that sounds good on paper. The people like the idea of immersing themselves into the universe that they like until they actually have to do it. And then suddenly it becomes a little bit like awkward dinner theater where you're having to participate with actors and it's obvious that you yourself are not an actor. And it just makes people feel uncomfortable. No, people don't actually want to be part of the scene. They want to observe the scene and enjoy it and be immersed in it without having to role play along.
Yeah, that's a fair point, right? It's like, you look at the lessons that maybe Disney could have learned from something like the Harry Potter experience over there at Universal Studios, obviously starting with Harry Potter at, I believe, Hogsmeade at Islands of Adventure in 2010. Okay, you look at that and you go, okay, so clearly people want to go ahead and be immersed in it and they want to have an active role and all this kind of stuff. Like you said, Lorn, I think they took away the wrong lessons. People like to observe. They obviously want to go ahead and maybe dress the part, but beyond that, though, trying to incorporate so much interactivity it can be a mixed bag, and it's not for every single theme park guest. And so when you put them into a place that maybe they aren't familiar with, that's supposed to be their story, I don't know if that necessarily correlates with the expectations of what a Star Wars land maybe should have been and maybe could have been. So it's very, very interesting to kind of see this. Also, too, you can see Chewbacca there, which is very interesting because I had heard... Oh, go ahead, please.
That's a pretty short Wookiee.
That's a good point right there. Yeah. I have seen Chewbacca's height in person. Why? Because I helped build one. It's a long story. Lorn knows that very, very well. Chewbacca's huge. He is so big.
7 feet. He's a big man.
Oh man, it is tremendously large. So that is a short Wookiee. That being said, though, height notwithstanding, I had heard from Disney that he was going to be with Han over there at the Smuggler's Run attraction, that Leia was going to be with him, and that Chewie was going to be with Rey over there on the sequel side of things, over there next to Rise of Resistance. A little weird how they're showcasing with Chewbacca here, because I don't know if that pairing you'll be able to see at the park.
Again, this is one of the problems with trying to enforce a timeline. Honestly, there's
exactly.
no reason why you couldn't have a Wookiee in both locations. Satisfy both era fans, but their take on it would be, but you're breaking immersion.
Yeah.
The Wookiee can't be in two places at once. It's like, but you have two different eras that are adjacent to each other. It's like, come on, guys. You're trying to put limits on imagination in one way while leaving them unfettered in another way. This is ridiculous. Stop trying to. This is part of the problem. You're trying to make your customers comply with how you think they should be using their imaginations. It's like that is enforced role play, which makes it no fun whatsoever.
Yes, no fun whatsoever. So it's so accurate, especially when you're charging, at least in the case of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, what, $6,000 for 2 nights or whatever. It's like, yeah, let's go ahead and pay extra money and super immersive experience, by the way. Take an active role. It's like, I don't know how much crossover there, what that Overton window looks like between people who can actually afford it, people who actually want to do it. But, well, it didn't last for very long. So, Lorn, I think you're so accurate on this point. Some people are saying, oh, well, he looks like Jason Solo, not really Han Solo. This is a very difficult casting. That being Harrison Ford, right? They've always had problems with this when it comes to, like, I don't know, the stuntacular that you actually see over there at Disney Hollywood Studios, or maybe even the walk-around characters that we've had at Disneyland's history. It's not always going to be right. It's always going to be just a little bit off. I think it's okay. I think the wig is actually a lot better than what they actually provided with Luke Skywalker there. So overall, I think I like this pretty good here. But what say you, MJ? I know you're not the biggest Star Wars fan out there, but I know you have recently watched the movies, as per Lorn's recommendation right there, in terms of order and everything else. You're a fan of the franchise. What say you? Does this convince you that Han Solo is right now next to the Falcon?
I think it's really, really cool that they're trying to give you guys what the diehard Star Wars fans want to see, these kind of characters when they go into Galaxy's Edge.
Right.
I don't know if the costume does justice or not. I mean, the hair, I'm kind of looking at everything. It's giving, what's that guy's name from Rapunzel? His wig, that's what it looks like.
I see. What is it? I'm thinking if it's Herbert. I can.
Yeah, thank you, Flynn Rider, for heaven's sake. He's giving Flynn Rider vibes. It's just like, it's not really giving Han Solo. And I saw the films thanks to Lorn. Lorn, shout out to you for telling me exactly in which sequence to watch the films. It's not giving Han Solo vibes. I'm talking like one of my daughters, the ones that are in their 20s. It's not giving. Yeah, no, it's not Han Solo. I just want to give them, a little bit of credit for trying, because they're switching gears, and the fandom deserves a lot better, and they're moving in the right direction. So I'm happy for those fans that want to go into, Star Wars themed area and take a picture with a well-beloved character that they fell in love with a long time ago.
I always thought it was weird when they did the opening ceremony for this land. Oh man, back in 2019. Whew, man, it feels like forever ago. You can see right here with Bob Iger, obviously in company, but also too you have Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, George Lucas, and the actor that plays Lando. Oh no, Lorn, help me out here.
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Oh, I'm never going to hear the end of that right there. Flynn Rider, that's bad enough. But Billy D., come on, what are you doing? Sorry about that. To have these actors incorporated in this way for the opening in a land in which they were not going to make an appearance in, that was a choice that I wouldn't have quite done. But you can kind of see maybe what Bob Iger's initial thinking, like his gut feeling, might have been connected to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge before that Kathleen Kennedy influence. So finally, we do have Luke and Han represented. Maybe we'll get a Lando. That might be pretty cool. Just as long as it's not solo Lando. I want Return of the Jedi Lando. Dang it! And maybe he might have a reason as to why that satellite dish is missing from the top of Millennium Falcon. All right, very, very cool stuff right there. Awesome stuff to have Han Solo in there. We'll have to see what the other characters look like. I'm particularly interested in what they're going to do with Leia. I had heard it's going to be like a combination of Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. I have no idea what that looks like. So very curious to see what Disney actually comes up with. However, there might be... Oh, go ahead, Lon.
The one point that I would make about the character stand-ins there at the parks and their costumes is that you're not looking for screen accurate here, because honestly, it would be impossible to pull off for the job that they have to do in those parks. This is something that you kind of pay attention to when you learn about costuming in movies. Most of the time, the costume that you see in the close-ups is not the costumes that's being worn for the stunts. They have different jobs.
Oh, yes.
They have different types of abuse that they have to stand up to, and in the parks, that's especially going to be true. So I don't expect one-to-one accuracy. I don't expect it to be authentic. I do expect it to give the flavor of what you expect to see. And as far as I'm concerned, they've done that. I think they did their job. I don't have a problem with any of this.
I think it was really cool to learn behind the scenes. I think that the
Millennium Falcon just brought a guest. It landed, and there's a guest that is a diehard Star Wars fan. He might have even played one of the characters in the film that we don't know about. So should I bring him on?
Oh, yep. Please go ahead and bring him on. I do apologize. Oh, it is Ron from For All the Bradley's Fun. Hello there, Ron. I didn't hear you come on back in right there. We were just going over the debut of Han Solo right here.
Breaking news.
Yes, breaking news. But to switch subjects actually to things that are certainly bigger, impacting the Walt Disney Company right now. But do you have any initial thoughts on Han Solo as he's been introduced to Disneyland? Haven't seen Leia yet. We've now seen Han. Very, very interesting stuff right here. Any particular opinion here?
Yeah, all these characters have been here before. I don't know about Disneyland, but they've certainly all been at Walt Disney World because
that's true.
Because Star Wars weekends was a thing that it's very clear. It seems like Disney is trying to make people forget that Star Wars weekends existed. I got a picture back there if you want to share it from one of the Star Wars weekends with another character who they've never introduced to Galaxy's Edge, Mace Windu.
Yes.
And so that's me and my that son happens to be much older now because this is from 2014, but yeah, I mean, there we are sharing space with Mace Windu. And back then, I mean, Star Wars Weekends, to me, is still a way better representation of what the fandom wants from Star Wars at Disney parks than Galaxy's Edge has ever been. What I was hoping for when they first announced for Galaxy's Edge is that it would be like a blend, like bringing Star Wars Weekends to Disney full time with the not just the area but the characters, right? And Lorn, did you ever go to Star Wars Weekends at Hollywood Studios?
No. I have not been down to the Walt Disney World. I've only been to Disneyland.
Okay.
And the last time that I was there was 2014. So,
well,
I think never got to see the Star Wars hoopla. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. I think you would have loved at that time, especially. I think you, in particular, would have loved Star Wars Weekends. What they did is that they brought in the 501st, and they brought in volunteers. So at that time, and Disney also hired proprietary characters as well. So Disney had their own actors playing Han, Luke, Leia, Darth Maul, all of the characters that had propagated the Star Wars universe up to that point in time. They did a parade of Star Wars characters that had like 500 people. It was crazy. And then they invited guests to be in the parade. My son and I got to be in the parade one time when he was dressed as a Jedi. It was super cool. It was so exciting as a Star Wars fan at that point in time to be a part of all that. And then, of course, you also had many of these Star Wars celebrities, actors who had played different roles come in and do signings and autographs. And throughout it was amazing. And the fact that they don't seem to even acknowledge that Star Wars Weekends existed, at least the company doesn't seem to want to acknowledge this. It's so off to me, because what I loved about it is, when I go to Galaxy's Edge now, it's like this kind of what's the best? I don't know. It's hollow. It feels hollow. It doesn't feel fulfilling as a Star Wars fan like this did back in the day. And so I see their minor attempts. I like you, Lorn, I have nothing wrong with the character of Han Solo, how he's being portrayed, that you got to get some young actor who can kind of do a Han Solo type thing. I get that. No big deal there. But it just doesn't have, it doesn't have that feeling of fun, fandom, attractiveness. It's certainly nothing. I don't think it's going to get extra people up and out of their chairs to go to the park for this, if that makes any sense.
No, but I don't think that's the point, though. The point is, in a way, this is somewhat of a peace offering, in a sense. It is them saying, okay, we screwed up. We can't fix it right away. We know this is what you want, so we're trying to give you something that we know that you want and like. Please don't hate us as much as you've been hating us.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I should also point out that I had forgotten the brown pants. They actually are from Return of the Jedi. That's what he's wearing on Endor. So we are post Return of the Jedi there. So they're good for that piece as well.
Okay,
so.
good. Well,
what would we do without your expertise, Lorn?
Always wear the brown pants if something could possibly go wrong.
Oh boy, well, let's hope Han Solo doesn't have any hyperspace problems there. That's no good for sure. No, well, speaking of problems, at least for the larger Walt Disney Company, they're having a myriad of problems, it would seem, at least when it comes to expenditures, and they're looking to streamline just a little bit. And what form did that take? Well, this story. It took the form of layoffs. Here from the Wrap. Disney's 1,000-person layoffs claim entire PR team, specialty division, divisions. Layoffs also hit Marvel, whose reduction in workforce is a result of the brand's reduced slate. This by Drew Taylor right here from The Wrap. Disney's layoffs impacting 1,000 employees got underway Tuesday, affecting several entire divisions of publicity, Marvel, and some noted lieutenants of Asad Ayaz, the company's chief marketing and brand officer. Among those let go are 20 people from the company's publicity departments, as well as the entire home entertainment team, led by Executive Director of Global Publicity and Marketing Communications, Chris Bess. Also gone is the EPK team, including Director of Creative Content, Natalie Clunas, right there. You have a lot of people being affected here. Some people have been with the company for 25 years, which is, I mean, that's a lot of senior positions there. Senior vice presidents, affected vice presidents of various divisions. I thought was one of the things that was most interesting about this was the cuts, particularly having to do with Marvel. You can see right here, Forbes, Disney layoffs hit Marvel Studios hard. This by Rob Sokowitz, senior contributor over there at Forbes, April 14, 2026. The Walt Disney Company announced massive layoffs this week to, quote, streamline operations, according to a memo from new CEO Josh D'Amaro. The cuts will affect about 1,000 employees across all arms of Disney's media holdings, including studios, TV networks, sports, and experiences. One division hit hard is Marvel, who is losing staff from both New York and Burbank across most areas of the organization, including film and TV production, comics, franchise, finance, and legal. That includes the nearly entire Academy Award-winning visual development team at Marvel Studios. These are the artists, illustrators, character designers, environment, story designers, I should say, and other technical specialists who are most involved in the look of Marvel's film and television productions, from the Avengers to Guardians of the Galaxy to Daredevil. Many had been with Marvel for a decade or more. Whoa! We've got a lot of detail provided for where these cuts actually are. We heard about them last week. They were taking place. Now, the reality is coming with it. Marvel Studios very impacted, though. I think some reports were saying up to 8%. However, Disney has disputed that in recent times here. Lorn, I want to go ahead and involve you here with this conversation, because this is, I think this was wider than I think people thought. I can see some of the strategy playing out here, but I want to get your kind of initial take to this. I'll go ahead and add a little bit more context after your comments. Please, sir.
Well, the marketing department cuts are really interesting, and I think probably needed. I think that's probably been coming for a long time. They've been spending a lot of money on marketing all of their various pictures and shows that have been coming out, and they haven't been getting a significant return for it. So it's natural to make cuts there. The VFX cuts are far more interesting to me, because for one, to me, that signals, how do they think Doomsday is going? And if they're not going to be producing the visual effects internally, that means they're going to have to contract that work out. And that means you're trusting somebody else to do a better job than you can. That seems strange to me. That's very odd, because usually it's going to cost you more to contract that work than it is to do it in-house. I did see, I don't know who the artist's name was, but I saw a tweet this morning from one of those VFX guys that was laid off, and he said that it was surreal to be sitting in the room with marketing that had a mural on the wall of all of the Marvel characters that he himself had created.
I saw that. I saw that post. Let me see if I can find it out there in the ether. Go ahead, please.
That's got to be an awful gut punch, and this, to me, I think maybe for the VFX cuts, at least, it's a tacit admission that maybe they don't see much of a future for Marvel, at least not in the short term. I know that they have Doomsday to get through. We know that they're going to do Secret Wars. I know Pro believes that they're going to be doing a trilogy of movies. I still think that may be a question. I think an awful lot hinges on just how does Doomsday do. And if they have to hit the target numbers that we were talking about yesterday, that's an awful heavy lift. If they think they're going to hit those kind of numbers, they better have absolute gold in the story.
Yeah, I mean, this is really quite fascinating to see so many cuts at Marvel, because I think historically you've always thought of Marvel as one of their big signature brands, right? I mean, totaling what, $35+ billion in overall revenue has brought in by the box office right there attached to their films. A big driver of maybe subscribers for Disney Plus, even though they may have oversaturated that platform by just a little bit, as they've now admitted several times now, which is very, very interesting. Maybe I shut up Bob Chapek, I don't know, but we've just seen this brand be treated very interestingly over the last few years. I mean, obviously that's been impacted by the box office and the floundering success that Marvel's had in recent years. But it seemed to me, it was like, no, we're going in this new direction. Wait till, I don't know, what is it, Fantastic Four or any other, Thunderbolts or any of the other films that we're hinging all these successes on right here to really get this machine flowing again. And it's just, I don't think it has worked out for them. I had the same reaction that you did, Lorn, that maybe this speaks to the strength of brand and where they might find this brand in the next few years right here. Cutting comics division, creative elements, very interesting stuff. Go ahead.
There's one other thing that we haven't brought up that maybe we should talk about because it ties into one of your other stories, which is that,
Please.
Okay, I think they would have to be very careful about how they position this because they're going to get backlash for it. But another way to look at it is maybe we don't need VFX artists anymore. We've got AI.
That's
so,
point.
I mean, there's a couple of ways to look at this. I'm actually, you don't want to see people lose jobs, especially in this economy. I'm seeing stronger and stronger signals, I think, that indicate that Disney is beginning to make a pivot. Now, that doesn't mean that they're doing away with DEI or their messaging or any of that stuff, but they're at least recognizing that they're bleeding. And not only are they bleeding, but they're bleeding heavily. And I think that they're having now to take steps internally to evaluate where are we bleeding? How badly are we bleeding? How do we stop the bleeding? And then they can ask the question about, okay, how do we make the patient healthy again? If they're asking those questions, that's a start. And that's more than we've seen for the last decade. Doesn't mean they're going to get the right answers. Doesn't even mean they're doing the right thing. But I'm encouraged by the fact that in the last year, I believe they have finally recognized we have serious issues that must be addressed.
That's a fair point. And for a new CEO that Josh D'Amaro is to make this kind of a stance at the very inception of him getting that corner office right there is very, very interesting. And I love your commentary, Lorn, that you included with me earlier, saying that maybe this is his way of really making his mark and defining the fact that he is in charge of this organization. It is separate from Bob Iger. I know a lot of these cuts predate Bob Iger, I'm sorry, Josh D'Amaro in this specific role right here. I know Asad Ayaz actually was the crafter of some of this through his One Disney approach. Or I should say, I think it's Project Imagine from Asad Ayaz's point of view. But this One Disney thing we heard about actually during the shareholders meeting that just recently took place. And I thought that was very interesting because I'm like, what does that quite mean? And maybe this has something to do with it. I want to go ahead and provide a little bit more context for this via some opinion as brought out by Layoff AI on X, which I thought was really astounding. Then Ron, I'm going to go ahead and take it over to you afterwards. Official Layoff AI says Disney's internal codename for laying off 1,000 people was Project Imagine. The layoffs began this morning with an email from the CEO. That is taking place obviously yesterday. Here's what is actually happening. Josh D'Amaro became CEO 4 weeks ago. Before that, he spent years the face of Disney parks. Walking the grounds before opening, high-fiving guests, hugging cast members. Fans loved him. Well, not universally, but sure. Cast members loved him. He was the anti-corporate guy in a very corporate company. Then Bob Iger handed him the keys. His first move, eliminate 1,000 roles. In January, Disney quietly merged all of its marketing departments into one division under one chief. Entertainment, ESPN, Experiences Studios, one organizational chart, one boss. That meant every person doing the same job across 5 divisions was now sitting next to their replacement. 1,000 people found out this morning if they were the ones gone. D'Amaro's memo called it, quote, streamlining operations and building a, quote, more agile and technologically enabled workforce. his March memo to staff called the Vision, quote, One Disney, one marketing department, 1,000 fewer jobs. Project Imagine is just getting started. Ron, I want to go ahead and incorporate you right now. What say you? I think there is a benefit maybe of streamlining operations. Do you necessarily have to have 5 different, I don't know, marketing firms spread out across all your verticals, right? Or can you just have one marketing department that handles all? What say you? Is this the right approach?
A song comes to mind. Imagine there's no jobs left.
Oh,
it's easy if you try. You can't feed your family. Oh no, it's I gotta tell you, it's so funny. Look, Disney has been through this up and down roller coaster of layoffs since 2020. And I know some people that work for Marvel. I'm curious to know if they have their jobs today or not. Honestly, what's been going through my mind about this news is maybe Josh tomorrow just watched the latest episode of Daredevil last night before it came out and said, all right, those wigs are awful. I gotta slash jobs at Marvel. I mean, the wigs were so distracting when they were going to the flashback scenes from what was supposed to be the Netflix Daredevil days. They had to put the actors back looking like they did 10 years ago, and they used some wigs, and it was just awful wig job. Anyway, that's beside the point. Look, they've got to Disney is doing what they need to do. They have to make cuts in certain places. If they're looking at these cuts in Marvel, they're obviously looking at whatever projects they have coming up, what those needs are, and where they can slash the budget for those needs. Maybe for the first time in a long time, they're actually looking at the budgets for their productions and going, you know what? These haven't been bringing in the money they did last decade. And it's been over half a decade that we've been doing this now. Maybe we need to start making some changes here, which I think would be a good thing. It sucks when employees are the budget cuts, but if anybody that's ever ran any business knows that employee cost is the highest cost of running a business. And it's just what has to be done sometimes. Obviously, to run parks, there's a lot of things that the parks need more employees for and not less. And I would love to see, some of that happen where some of this money is redirected to the parks and to the parks budgets for employment and especially entertainment in the parks. Lorn brought up AI, and I do think that some of this, some of the jobs will go to AI, but what AI cannot do is give people the visceral experience that they have when they go to parks.
Right.
So parks are all theme parks, not just Disney, but the experiences that people have in parks are going to become more important with the use of AI and with the implementation of AI, because people are going to want to know. It's just that feeling that we have as humanity. I want to know that what I'm experiencing is real. And yeah, the park environment isn't technically a real environment, but it is real. It gives you a sense of going into this fantasy area where you can experience things you can't experience outside of that. And to see more money eventually being redirected within the company from one division to another division. I don't know how they do that. That's a lot of juggling. But I would love to see the parks get a lot more love and more creativity than they have in the last decade and a half.
Right.
And bring some Disney back to what Disney used to be.
And I will say, thankfully, none of these, the streamlining, let's say, that the company's going to use here has affected the parks currently. Now that might be coming, obviously, but none of these roles that I can find in my research here have been affected have affected the parks in a meaningful way because, well, as Marvin pointed out on that Park Place, actually, it's the one division that has actually been making money. And I think Space Dave comes in here. Yeah, I guess the parks can only support so many losses outside the parks. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just, you have to find a way to make entertainment, right? And especially their divisions that include Marvel, Lucasfilm, and otherwise. You had to find a way to make these films successful, profitable, and all of that. And maybe that correlates with marketing to some degree. I know that Avengers Doomsday, for example, from John Campea, I do believe, has been saying that it's going to be a $400 million film at minimum, with a maybe $300 million marketing budget, which is insane. That's astronomical. That's something that we've never, I don't think, ever have seen before. And it's interesting how marketing is being keyed in here because according to Drew Taylor, actually from The Wrap, writing a separate article actually earlier last week, talking about maybe Avatar being replaced with Zootopia at DCA. Very interesting article talking about the future of that franchise, Avatar that being. It was noted in that article that a lot of people, maybe from the kind of the James Cameron side of the business there, felt that, okay, like, you guys marketed Fire and Ash, but it was very similar to Way of Water and didn't really distinguish between the two. This wasn't a re-release of Way of Water. This was its own separate film, and they were very critical of the marketing department and maybe placing a little bit of that, more than $500 million loss between The Way of Water and Fire and Ash. That trajectory right there, blaming a little bit of that on the marketing department. So, well, now the marketing department has been very streamlined. When talking about AI, Hollywood Reporter had this very interesting article, I think published April 6th here, talking about California's creative job losses aren't AI casualties. Key report finds. This is by Katie Kakeni over there at the Hollywood Reporter. You can see right here, there have been a lot of job losses in media and entertainment as it's currently known right now. We've seen Sony, I think, recently cut. I think Paramount Skydance is saying, yeah, after the Warner merger, you're going to see some cuts there too, or at least that's a suspicion anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a lot of losses there. But you can see right there a lot of cuts actually happening in this industry within California specifically. I'm sure maybe happening in other places as well. But like you said, Lorn, I mean, maybe we can see some of these roles actually subcontracted out. I think Pro was saying that for the home entertainment division, actually, the place that actually produces like the Blu-rays and so forth, right? Maybe it's like, okay, can we hand that off to somebody else, have them produce Blu-rays on our behalf, and keep selling them? Could you see that happening to some degree?
I would like to see that happen because I think physical media definitely needs to make a comeback. Whether they're ready to make that admission or not yet, I don't know, because they're still trying to push Disney Plus as hard as they possibly can. When it comes to putting everything under one department, I've got some mixed feelings about that because I think a lot of times, depending on what you're marketing, you may have different marketing needs and you want to tailor those to whoever your customer is going to be. And sometimes maybe that requires an individual department. But I think that part of the problem that Disney has found themselves in is that they have become such a sprawling company that it's made it difficult to tell who is responsible for what. So in this case, at this moment, this may be the right decision because it lets you point to one guy and say, why aren't you performing? And if they don't have a good answer for that, it allows them to sub somebody in and adjust their strategy. And right now, they probably need to move in an agile way. Now, the downside to this is that if you are going to consolidate everything under one department, they're now going to have to do intake on all of those things they didn't previously do, which means they're probably not going to be operating as efficiently as they would otherwise. They're not going to know their portfolio yet. So,
and you're probably going to have to grow your staff, right?
So you're going to try and increase efficiencies, but by dint of the fact that you're now absorbing a lot of additional work, you're going to be inefficient. So I don't know if they're going to know right away whether or not this is working or not.
Which is actually kind of ironic because the previous time I heard about the moniker One Disney was not actually attached to Josh D'Amaro's effort right here. It actually predates Josh D'Amaro by quite a bit. Well, I mean, at least his tenure as CEO and the head of experiences previously. No, it actually goes back to earlier in the Bob Iger era in which they tried to merge the departments managing both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And it didn't end up working out because there's only so many efficiencies that you can actually go forward with until it's like, no, we have to treat these resorts differently, right? We have to treat these parks differently and who they cater to and who, where we actually deliver discounts to, where we deliver our advertising to, and so forth. They're so separate entities in how they're run, how they're operated, and so forth. You really can't merge them. And so when Disney was abandoned, some of the things we lost permanently because of that effort, which was unfortunate. But I do agree with you. I think, and I was kind of thinking the same thing, right? It's like, okay, if you want to streamline marketing, you got to know the audience. Like Star Wars, for example, right? Kathleen Kennedy herself didn't even know the Star Wars audience. And that's what led to, ultimately, Star Wars' downfall, right? You have to know, where you can actually push these products to and what subcultures actually is therein. Go ahead, Lorn.
So here's where we get into splitting hairs a little bit. Is it that
Please.
they don't know what the audience wants or they don't like the audience they have? That's
Okay,
another
fair.
thing. Is
Yeah,
that...
right.
Honestly, if Disney wanted to turn a lot of things around right now, the first thing I would be telling them to do is increase your theatrical window, get back into the physical media business, and start reducing your costs throughout the park so that you get more people in. Right now,
Sure.
they're chasing the affluent customers. They want people that are going to spend a lot of money. But you can make more money by having more people come in who spend less as long as you get a significant number of people. The parks used to be affordable for the average family. They no longer are. And eventually they're going to hit a place where their audience continues to diminish as the novelty for those people who can afford it wears off. They have options. Generally speaking, to a middle class family, a Disney park is a fancy thing to do. It's a if you're fortunate, a once a year thing. If you're less fortunate, maybe a once in a lifetime thing. So I think that for people who have options, they can see it as, okay, that was fun. What's the next thing we do? But if you cut off the audience that can go there repeatedly, you have a limited time that you can be a viable corporation.
That's
a fair point.
There's also a certain ideology of those people that go to Disney, and I'm bringing this up because I saw a particular post today by a 30-year-old woman who brought her 13-year-old daughter to Cinderella's Castle. The question on the post was, is Cinderella's Castle, dining in the castle, worth it for a family? And this 30-year-old answered back, for me, it was absolutely worth it. And it had something to do with psychology. And I can't remember exactly what she said, but she's like being in the castle, eating with the princesses. I broke down and cried. She's 30 years old. And it had something to do with whatever those feelings are from her childhood that she needed. This is the first time that she'd ever been there. And there's theme park lovers, and then there's this different level of ideology when it comes to people that go to Disney theme parks or the castle theme parks or the princesses or whatever that is. There are adults out there that are using Disney as a form of therapy. I don't personally think that's particularly healthy, but
I don't think it's therapy, but they have made it central to their identity. And that's where you get into these are the people that will spend irresponsible amounts of money. Now, the way that I'm not a parks guy, I'm not truly a Disney guy, although I respect the Disney Corporation and a lot of the IPs that they have and a lot of the stuff that they've done in the past. You would say that I'm a diehard Star Wars guy who has made Star Wars a core part of my identity. But I'm not going to spend whatever it was that they wanted for the Galactic Star Cruiser. I'm not crazy. It's like, if it comes down to that, I'll build a man cave and theme it myself.
Okay, let me
spend less money.
Let me quickly pose a question to you, Lorn. They introduced the Star Cruiser, and instead of introducing it the way they did, you're a big time Star Wars fan. Let's say Disney hadn't completely mucked up the the sequel trilogy, right? But they introduced the Star Cruiser, and they say this is going to be a once in a lifetime experience for Star Wars fans, where this is the cruise that Han and Leia took their honeymoon on, and the experience that you're going to have is being able to see the characters that you've loved your entire life. You'll see Han and Leia and a version of Darth Vader. You don't know at the time how they've worked it into the story, but they've figured out a way to work Darth Vader in, and R2 and C3PO and whatever else from your childhood, from all of the lore. And it was all of that great stuff that you remember. And they had it mucked up Galaxy's Edge. Maybe we're going to go to a place on Tatooine, like a different, not Mos Espa, Mos Eisley, but a different Moss that they invented just for the. I mean, could have done it right. And then it's only going to cost you, let's say, $3,000 for 4 days and 3 nights, and you have this amazing Star Wars experience. And they even have a pool, and you can go outside and you can enjoy it how you choose. You can LARP if you want to, but you don't have to.
Nope, still didn't do it for me because
Wow.
the cost value proposition isn't there. I am understanding that what I'm doing is I am participating in watching costumed actors in a themed land, which is cool, but it's not worth $3,000. Now, let me give you another example. I have sitting here on my desk right next to me an A10 Warthog flight stick and throttle. I've got a VR headset behind me, and I would really love to have a full motion rig for 4 degrees of motion. That would be yaw, pan, tilt, and heave. You put all of that technology together with the X-Wing VM mod and the old X-Wing game, and I'm now sitting in an X-Wing cockpit flying with the full HOTAS experience in 3D. Do I pay for that? You bet I do.
Wow.
That's an experience that's for me. And for what you charge for that, it's like, I remember when I was a kid, we had an Aladdin's castle in the local mall for a little while. And there was one time that they had a rig that was kind of like this come up. I don't remember what the arcade game was, but it was a full motion rig sitting on a platform that would do full 360 spins. It had this great big monitor in front of you, and you had a joystick, and it's a Space Invaders style game of some kind, you know. It was $4 a play. For a kid, $4 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I saw this thing, and it's like, I'm putting my $4 in. And I sat on that chair, I moved the joystick, and the thing spun. And my face did this.
Yeah.
And the game is designed to kill you in like 50 seconds, you know? We're 30 years beyond that, and I still remember that experience. I got my $4 worth, you know?
There you go.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that for what it would cost to build that simulator that I'm telling you about, it's basically $10,000 in investment cost. Do you have any idea how quickly you'd recoup that? Especially if then, forget about it just being a pod that you sit in that's simulating an X-Wing. Suppose you did what the old Battletech centers did, and you had a whole bunch of people come into a room. You have a dozen of these pods. You have a full-on mission briefing with costumed actors that are telling you you're going to be making an assault on the Death Star, and they explain all of the controls of the ship, more complex than what you're getting in the Millennium Falcon ride, so that you actually feel like you're doing something. You're not on rails. You've actually got to fly this thing, but you get an experience of flying in a squadron with other people, and you've got full helmet comms. I'm telling you, that's a moneymaker, and you make your investment cost in no time.
I hope they're listening. That sounds amazing.
Disney needs to hire you as a consultant, Lorn.
Yeah,
That's
you
all
do.
there is to it.
Yeah. What is your consulting fee, Lorn?
And that experience is not going to be for everybody, because some people, they get motion sickness in VR, and so it's not for everybody. You have to tailor lots of different experiences for lots of different kinds of customers. I think a large part of the problem that Disney ran into is, one, they thought that we were all just rubes that would pay any price to go and do the experience that they offered. And two, they wanted to define for you what your experience would be, rather than letting you seek out the experience that you wanted. That's not going to work for the customer.
Yep.
So true. So true. It's interesting you bring this up, Lorn, the the kind of Space Invaders that you were talking about. It reminds me of what was featured in the Disneyland Starcade back in the day. If anybody remembers, this is from a day at Disneyland. I think this is 1990s VHS. I think it was released in 93, 94. I think there's maybe two versions of it. I ran this VHS to death. And in that Starcade right there, in this VHS copy here, you can see right there.
That is what it was.
That's what it was, right? Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Man, I cannot believe I freaking found this.
Vash, you
on
have
the
B-roll
fly
for
right there.
everything.
It is
everything.
wild how that just came to mind. As soon as he described it, I was like, that was on that VHS right there. So there you go. We used to have some really great things there.
And I'm telling you, for $4, that experience, again, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
More than 30 years, if I'm being honest. And I still remember it. I got to play the game for what? 5 minutes?
That's
And
cool.
yet I'm like one of those guys who's like, I would love to put together a full motion rig in my house. I don't have room for it. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but that's one of my dreams now, that if I ever was able to put enough money together to do it, you bet I would.
That's so fun. Well, Lorn, I want to go ahead and thank you for coming on Vash Sky ParkCast. I know we only have you for an hour, so I want to go ahead and be respectful of your time, good sir. Where can the people find you out there to see all the amazing content that you do, doing a lot of stuff for That Park Place? Please, plug away.
I will likely be on the pro show tonight. I don't know that for sure, but our next show for the Lord of the Apollo show will be on Friday. We're going to be covering the cinema of, I believe, 1982, unless something comes up that changes our schedule. Other than that, I would ask people to please check out and subscribe, like, and comment, and do all the stuff on that pod place. We're getting content going back on there again and trying to raise our subscriber numbers up there so that we can do more stuff. Other than that, you can find me at all the usual places. Happy to be here. Hope you guys have a good rest of your show.
Thank you,
Awesome
Lorn.
stuff there, Lorn.
Thank you so much for
take care
stopping
of-
in and giving us your commentary.
You bet.
Absolutely.
Take care, everybody.
Take care
Have fun.
of that pod place for me, all right? Thank you so much, Lorn. Very much appreciate you. He is fantastic right there. Good stuff. It was a pleasure to have him on, and I know he would be able to speak very profoundly on so many of these topics. Now, Ron, how long do we have you for? Good sir, I want to be respectful of your time as well, obviously.
As long as you need me until
Okay, cool.
At least 15 minutes before 4,
15 minutes
because there's
before.
one thing that I have to set up for my show. I do have something in the back if you want to show it, and it's a very similar experience to what Lorn was describing, and it's recent. And this is at the Florida Mall. Let me go ahead and
awesome
let me go ahead and hit the play button. I turned the volume off, but yeah. So this was a VR experience. My son and I are in there.
That's cool.
Wow.
And again, it's a similar rig, and I think that I don't know how much it was, maybe $5 or something like that today, but there we are enjoying it. You obviously you can't see what we're looking at, but that was interactive where either one of us could affect what was happening on the screen. So they do have these experiences out there, and I mean, this is not that expensive, and Disney could put these types of things in the Star Wars land. There's different ways that they could even theme this when you're getting into it. So I totally, Lorn, everything you said is completely valid, and I'm sure like my son absolutely remembers this experience. It's just a couple years ago. So
very cool. Well, thank you so much, Ron, for showing us that. We have another guest coming in here. I didn't see her until now, so sorry about that. Very much apologize for keeping you back there. I know you're very, very busy and short on time. It is the one, the only, the lovely Erika from Erika and Rep. Hello there, Erika. Welcome on board.
I can't believe I missed Lorn.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be on panel with him. All of a sudden, it's like he's outroed. I'm like, no.
Oh, darn it! And well, we'll go ahead and link you guys up very, very shortly. I know you've got some maybe a change is coming that might affect your availability going forward. So that might be pretty cool to see. Awesome stuff right there. Let's see right here. Let me go ahead and put on some super chats really, really fast so that we can go ahead and honor the people who have decided to support us. Thank you so much for doing that. Before moving on to our next topic, I'm going to change around the schedule here just a little bit. We got to get MJ's story in here. And also, too, we have to talk about, I think a very pertinent story for Erika, because I know she loves herself a little bit of Disney merch on occasion. There you go. Space Dave 2000 with the Canadian $2. This equals 0.000000001% of theme park entry. LOL. Yes, and theme park entry we might be talking about on this on this show? I don't know yet because we there's so many things to cover. I'm telling you, folks, it's crazy how many stories we have. It's wild. I'm looking at like 15 off the top of my list right here. But thank you so much, Space Dave, for that. Also coming in here, gifting one Vash Sky ParkCast membership. And to the person who got that, I believe it was Chris A426 who received that. Make sure you thank Space Dave for that. I believe he did. Oh, yes, he did. Thank you for that, Space Dave. Awesome stuff right there, making new Sky Watchers. Somebody else, Nathan7478, making 5 new Sky Watchers there. Why gifting the memberships? And I do believe Teacher Tammy, James Ford, Vijol, Sir Ya Black, and well, one of my favorites, Woeful, actually. Becoming new Sky Watchers. Thank you so much, Nathan, for that. I was thinking about you, Wolfle. So thank you for coming on in. And, well, now you are a Sky Watcher yourself. Very cool. Wolfle coming in here. I was gifted membership. Thank you, Nathan. Awesome stuff. That's very, very cool to see. And most recently, Snarky the Stink Nugget coming in here. Thank you so much, Snarky. Very much appreciate you. I know you gifted a lot of memberships last time, and, well, they didn't go through. So I'm happy to report that, hey, they're going through now, and he's gifting 5 out there. Now, Bruce Newhouse, Carrion of Romance, Red Tigress, that's cool. Pam Epson, come on in, join the fun. J Laps 007, actually, I should say. Becoming new Sky Watchers. Thank you so much. Now you can join us actually for the Saturday program for all those interested with, well, Vixen and I, as we discuss even more theme park news or whatever strikes our fancy. As we like to have a little bit more of a free flow show right there. Very, very cool. That's going to be Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern for those lucky Sky Watchers out there. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, MJ, for putting all that up and getting all that organized right there. Okay. Now I have put this story off for a little bit, for long enough, because I was originally going to feature this very close to when it happened. That being on Saturday. Unfortunately, we had some audio issues that prevented us from covering it in a timely fashion, but it is still very, very important. MJ, you remember Disney's Starlight Parade. Well, I mean, remember, it's playing right now, but still, you remember this version of the concept art that they originally released. You can see right there the blue fairy, adding her, I guess, pixie dust to the entire foray right here, and you can see Peter Pan and Wendy in the background right there on their own separate parade float, floating, and, flying as they did over the tops of London in their signature film, that being the original Peter Pan that was released back then. Okay, that's the version of this float that we thought we were getting. Unfortunately, when this parade opened, well, you can see Peter Pan and Wendy, well, they were grounded. This parade debuted, and unfortunately, we never got to see Peter Pan and Wendy fly like what was depicted in the concept art. I remember at the time that people were a little bit disappointed by that. Well, Disney has done something about it. Here you go. Very cool stuff. We now have a flying Peter Pan and Wendy, just like what was actually depicted in that concept art all those many months ago when they first showcased this parade. Now, this parade made its debut last year, and it was late, actually, getting out there. Disappointing in that this wasn't available then. Took a while, but they finally did give us our flying Peter Pan and Wendy. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Disney right now. Good on them from actually doing this. They could have said, you know what? Parade's made its debut. People are happy with what they got. Whatever. We'll go forward. No, they went back, made it right. MJ, your thoughts on this story, please.
Oh, yeah, I am ecstatic about this. This is like huge. As you all know, I don't know if the members in the audience, when Starlight first debuted, it was very mediocre. It was something we were looking forward to, and it was a bit of a letdown. I mean, look, you were getting your nighttime parade with beautiful lights and we were looking forward to like special effects and, you know, all of the beloved characters that are in that concept art, but they just did not deliver when it first debuted. I personally went to the I think we covered this on T3PO. It was for the birthday of one of my kids, and we were just really looking forward to seeing this in person. It was a bit of a letdown. I think the only exciting part was they were offering like free photo ops with the sign, you could hold it, which I have those pictures and they're kind of embarrassing, so I'm not going to send them anywhere. But yeah, I went crazy when I saw this because they're bringing the magic to the Magic Kingdom. This is what we're paying for. This is what we want to see. More of this, please. And I do understand a couple months ago, they had an open cast call for actors and performers, and they're making little changes to this beautiful nighttime parade more and more and more. So I think we just need to stay tuned and know that we have a lot to look forward to. I got to give it to them on this one, though. This is something I think it was either in Shanghai that was already in action, or was that Japan? I can't remember.
It's probably Japan. Probably
yeah.
Japan.
Yeah. So they're bringing some of the stuff from overseas, and I really do appreciate that. And who does not want to sit down and enjoy this wonderful, amazing view? This is so dear to our hearts, the majority of us at least. And I got to give it to Disney on this. More improvements and more of this, please.
Erika, I remember when we spotlighted this particular parade at first, we were a little harsh, and I think rightfully so, right? Because we were comparing this against what was amazing and what they had in Japan right there, and there were just so many different elements that really were showstoppers. And Starlight just kind of felt like a pale imitation of what was actually going on in Japan. I think it needed a signature kind of parade float, really signature magic moment, kind of like the fire-breathing dragon in Disney's current parade. I think what is it called again? I can't remember. Sorry, guys. The current parade playing in Magic Kingdom right now. When you have Maleficent up there flying, breathing fire, it's like a showstopper. You remember it. Erika, please, what say you? Does this increase your, maybe rating or review of this in any way? Your thoughts, please.
I think it's an improvement, like MJ said, and keep adding, and do it faster because it's so expensive. But in a way, I wish they had just waited to have a more spectacular debut. I kind of wish Disney would, in a sense, kind of slow down and not be in such a hurry, worry more about quality. And then when the time comes for that huge reveal for whatever project it is that they've been working on, then it's finished. And you get that wow, spectacular factor versus hurry, let's get something out there, and it kind of doesn't deliver as grandiosely as we would like, because we know they're capable of that. But it is what it is. This is the state of where we are with Disney, and we take the wins wherever they are. And this is a win.
Ron, I do agree with you, Ron. I know you make it to the Magic Kingdom on occasion right there. Have you been able to see this in person? And does, this actually, I don't know, increase your likelihood that you're going to be rewatching this parade again? Please, your thoughts.
This is extremely disappointing to me. I'm sorry, but you can see the wires. I cannot believe they didn't put a casting call out for actors who can actually fly. This is beyond the pale. Where are you, Disney? How come you cannot get your Peter Pan and Wendy to actually fly?
That's true. Yeah,
getting around. No, I want to see this. I haven't seen the Starlight Parade in quite some time because I haven't been going, at nights in a while. Actually, I was just talking to my wife earlier. Like, I need to get to the parks a little bit more than I have been. Like this year, for some reason, I just have not gotten to the parks a whole lot, and need to start getting back there. I've got the Pixie Pass and stuff. So, and my window has opened up, I can actually go again. So I will definitely be checking this out. My biggest issue right now, of course, obviously you want to do everything you can to the Magic Kingdom to make it the most magical park. It's very difficult to do that at a time when you took so much of the magic out by destroying Rivers of America. I know that I know they got to do everything they can to make up for that, but in my heart of hearts, that destruction of that portion of the park, rather than, I mean, they could have just chosen to retheme Tom Sawyer's Island. They could have easily rerouted the Rivers of America a little bit to make room for what they're doing with Cars and Villains. There's so many different options that they could have done instead of completely destroy and get rid of, just, to me, what was an absolutely essential element of Frontierland. So does this help? Yeah, a little bit. Doesn't make up for it. For me,
that's true.
The best versions of what the Magic Kingdom Park are supposed to be are still Disneyland. That park, you still have Tom Sawyer's Island there, and then of course you got the parks in Paris and Shanghai, and of course Japan's got an amazing park. I just don't think that. I think that without Rivers of America, Magic Kingdom will never be what it once was, unfortunately. I don't care if they put a deluxe hotel adjacent to it or whatever they plan on doing in the future, potentially. This is fine. I do love that this parade incorporates the music from Main Street Electrical Parade a little bit. At the end of the parade, they're playing Main Street Electrical Parade, which is Baroque Hoedown. I was trying to think of the actual Baroque Hoedown. And
hey, I didn't get Billy D earlier, so there you go. Still can't live that.
Yeah. What's the daytime parade? Now I've forgotten the name of the daytime parade that you could have.
I forgot as well.
I have the offerings that Magic Kingdom currently has to offer their guest. So we have the Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade that usually comes out from the back of Frontierland near Tiana's, and then it makes its way over to the Main Street USA. And then you have your Disney Festival of Fantasy Parade. Usually that's twice a day. Yeah, and then now we have they have, because of the painting, there's the Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair. I actually posted that on my Instagram because they had some changes to the times on that show because of the painting of the castle, which is to be expected. And then now we have the Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away. That's twice a night. And I think it's great that they're making improvements. I understand the magic for some people, for most of us actually, is kind of gone since they took out the Rivers of America, etc. But the more effort I see them, the more optimistic I am. I can't lose hope. I mean, we all love this place. It's dear to our hearts. So
then there are things about Walt Disney World I still love. I'm actually pretty happy and excited for most of what they're doing in Animal Kingdom. We'll see what ends up happening with what used to be Rafiki's Planet Watch with the Bluey thing, but as far as there's still plenty of improvements that can be made to that Starlight Parade, and I hope that those improvements get made, because when I first moved here, I think they had brought back Main Street Electrical, so I got to see a few years of that before it dropped off. And I've gotten to see Spectrum Magic. So I've gotten to see all of the nighttime parades that have ever happened, I think, at the Magic Kingdom, which is cool for me. And pretty happy about that. And I want them to do more positive things. What I do not want them to do is take away the aspects of the Magic Kingdom that were so important to Walt, which is bringing that Americana to a park that is located right now in the United States of America. So it just kind of like, and people from other countries, that's the most internationally visited park from everywhere else. And all over the world. People from Brazil, people from Europe, people from England, the UK, people from Saudi Arabia come over, people from China and Japan. That people out that it all comes into Walt Disney World, all comes into the Magic Kingdom. So them taking elements of the United States out, like, look, when I went to Amsterdam, I wanted to see Amsterdam. Right? I left the United States to see Amsterdam. And if I'm coming from a different country to America, I probably want to see America stuff. It just,
That's
so
true.
to take that out, that's just kind of weird to me. You know, there's this idea, I think, that people from other lands don't necessarily like the United States, but I'm like, you're coming here to visit. If I was going to China, like I really want to go to China. I don't care for the Chinese government or how they run their system, but there are places in China that look absolutely beautiful and just jaw-dropping to me that I want to see. I want to walk on the Great Wall of China. There's certain things I would love to be able to do. I don't care about all the government entities and all that stuff. I care about going to see what I want to see when I'm on vacation. I want to experience the planet. I want to experience those different things that can give me those memories of a lifetime. And I don't want any of that stuff taken away. If there was something like I was going to China to see that was historical, and the Chinese government said, no, we don't like that part of our history, so we're just going to take it away. I'm like, but I'm missing out on that. I want to see it.
It's true.
You know?
That's true. That's the biggest shame of them all, right? For Rivers of America, it's like you had this. Really spoke to what Walt actually wanted to do with his park, and that was this kind of connection to America, right? The hard facts that have created America, a connection to our history, this kind of frontier kind of mindset right there, which is so consistent with frontier land, obviously. All of those things, you've ripped that out. You've kind of lost a piece of the soul there, Magic Kingdom, and it's extremely sad. But like Ron said, you can experience a lot of that over there at Disney's original park, that being in Disneyland, which takes us to our next topic here. Okay, we've talked about the Disney After Dark events a little bit here. I don't feature them that greatly because, honestly, the value is just not there. I just don't think these events are worth it. But apparently, some people did feel that this event was worth it, and the merch connecting to it, well, people got really excited for it. Erika, you're going to like this one. I guarantee you right there. You can see the Disneyland After Dark Disney Channel Night. Celebrate iconic Disney childhood shows and characters during an exciting after-hours event in Disneyland Park. Dress up as your favorite character and channel your inner rock star as you sing, dance, and laugh along with the stories and tunes that captured your heart and filled your TV screen with magic. Yes, millennials, this night's all for you. And, Disney Channel Night historically has had some pretty good attendance and pretty good reviews. They've done some things that they haven't done before. Like, for example, they gave out a free wand to everybody that actually came in there. And they had a cavalcade that was certainly Disney Channel inspired. You can see a little bit of that on screen right now. See if I can play it. There you go. This from Disney Scoop Guy, by the way. As he has some excellent coverage going over all the happenings at Disneyland. You can see that you had High School Musical actually featured there, which is a pretty cool deep cut. But a lot of people waiting for some of these experiences. You can see a little bit of the back of this, actually at Five Fires. The Cali Bay does some excellent work on his own channel. But the problem started here. Well, actually before, but we'll get to that just a little bit right here. You can see they had like some interactive wand thing that they were doing in front of the castle. And boy, oh boy, did that have a lot of people waiting for it. As you can see right there, this is the line that they had switchbacks back and forth in front of the castle in order to do that wand experience. That's surprising. And they had a selection of merch available. You can see right here, the Disney Channel merch as part of Disney Channel Night. These things were available in the Starcade. You can see a little bit of that on screen. Okay, well, not crazy amazing stuff, but a lot of references, a lot of in-jokes, a new product line. there is some level of excitement that comes along with this. However, I think even Disney wasn't aware at the excitement they were generating with this merch line. Here you go. From people who were actually trying to get merch. Well, you can see it right here.
Well, Bessies, we are at the Disney After Dark Disney Channel night.
This is Blissful Moments Disney, actually.
This is what the line
There we go. Sorry about that.
is looking like at 5:40.
A lot of people trying to get their chance to get this merchandise.
And for anybody who is wondering, we were just told by the cast member that it's a limit of 1 for each item. So if you want a pin, you can only get 1 pin, 1 pair of ears, and 1 sweatshirt at this point in time.
And they were putting on those restrictions for a reason, because you can see right here the Emporium, right? We all know the Disney Emporium. It's in roughly the same place that it is in Walt Disney World. Walt Disney World has a bigger footprint, but Disneyland has one of their own. You can see it's very tight in there, but has a lot of merchandise strewn throughout the parks. Well, this is the scene that it descended into. A lot of people trying to get their hands on this Disney Channel night merch. You can see right here that they actually had to get a little bit organized with it. A lot of people looking to take advantage of this merchandise. The Emporium is packed way beyond capacity, way more packed than I've seen it. And I've seen some things there. They actually had to get Disney security involved in order to handle the madness surrounding the demand for this merch. It is crazy stuff going on here. I know they've had merch shops before, but holy moly, people were excited. Erika, I want to go ahead and go to you for this. It's very interesting what people react to when it comes to these merchandise drops. We covered, actually, I think it was back in the fall of 2025 when they debuted the Halloween merch for that year, and people were going crazy. You're going to see footage of it in this roll that I have actually going right now. But what is the mentality of somebody that goes in there and says, you know what, all these people, I want to go ahead and get mine as well? Is it FOMO? Is it something else? Please go ahead. What say you?
Oof, it's a combination of Disney. I think they really hit on the nostalgia. I don't know what it is about,
That's
at
true.
least with the Halloween and Christmas merch. They really know how to create the designs to where it's this classic Disney. And I don't know what it is about. And then now you've got this Disney Channel line, which I honestly didn't even know, or maybe I just forgot that Disneyland had these Disney Channel nights. And then to have this merch to go with it. Yeah, I could, especially with millennials, because that seemed to be the peak for Disney Channel. You have the Hannah Montana generation, High School Musical. And I kind of fall in just behind or just ahead because we didn't have cable. So, but yeah, I don't know. Disney they're really good at, I don't know. I would love to observe one of their teams at these meetings and how they come up with this stuff, because the Halloween, at least for me, that's in terms of merch, I buy more Halloween stuff than any other time of year. They just seem it's a hit every year, and I don't know if it's just because I like Halloween so much and they slap Mickey on it and the Fab Five and I just drool over it, and maybe it's just me, but yeah, last year I couldn't even get a hold of some of this merch because it went so fast.
I guess, man. There are
very
certain
whimsical. The little Minnie Mouse ghost. Surprisingly, I was able to grab that one. She's about this big, and you put her outside, and she lights up, and there's 2 light settings, and it's just the cutest thing for a Halloween yard decoration. I don't know. It's cartoony, it's whimsical, and it just touches on that nostalgia of classic Disney. And I keep saying this, Disney's answers to a lot of their problems is in the past, it's in that classic era of Walt. People eat that up. When it permeates Walt's vision and just Walt's, I guess, aura and energy, it sells. And I wish they would just tap into that for everything and all facets of the company. But yeah, they have these little niches, and right now it's Halloween. It's been Halloween and Christmas for, more than a handful of years at this point. And now they're, you have to remind me, Vash, how long the Disney Channel nights have been going on. I'm really not savvy with Disneyland. And
yeah, I want to say at least 3 to 4 years, if I recall correctly. I know the Nights program is pretty young, relatively speaking.
Okay.
And look, with those Disney Channel Nights, you've had some great character interactions with classic 90s characters, right?
like a Goofy movie
Rescue
characters?
Rangers, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. People like those. So it's like anybody that you remember seeing on the Disney Channel back in that era, that
the
ABC
late
block
80s,
right there.
all throughout the 90s.
Right.
And that was really the peak. Once technology started, well, really, honestly, from being honest, once the gaming industry really started taking off, that's when you started seeing Gen Z and then Gen Alpha behind them. Just everything just went kind of evolved into gaming, and that's another huge competitor to the theme park industry.
That's fair.
You've got anime and
video games.
Yeah, and video games.
Interesting.
not
MJ,
saying-
have you?
But yeah.
Oh, please go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
I was just gonna ask MJ, have you seen enthusiasm like this for anything offered at Walt Disney World? At Disneyland, it seems I don't know if it's a combination of the small size and the annual passenger base that they have out there, but man, we have just seen all kinds of scalping going on. As people have been suggesting in the chat right there, we have just seen intense enthusiasm for these merchandise drops in a way that, well, I've not seen before very much. Or at least at Walt Disney World, we all know about the popcorn bucket, right? Featuring Figment with that 8-hour line and so forth. That was crazy. But have you ever seen anything like this for something that, honestly, frankly, I would have considered benign had I not seen the response to it? Please.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I saw the ruckus with the Figment popcorn bucket. I believe that one actually lights up and does some other things, and you could throw tomatoes at me because I do not care for Figment whatsoever.
Uh-oh.
I don't. I did see some holiday merchandise go a little bit bonkers, but what I am seeing is the pin trading. The pins, it's the pins, they say, are like absolutely out of control. Our friend
That's
Dan's
wild.
Life at the Kingdom was explaining that to me the other day, and I just I'm appalled. But he made a valid point. It's only going to stop if the resellers do. If there's no demand, that's the only way it's going to stop. There's no stopping it. Disney merch is always just going to continue to fly off the racks, and the resellers will continue to do what they do until the demand is no more. But I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Like Erika said, you slap Mickey on it and you put the branding on it. And this is why the company, I'm going to say it, they're very entitled, because no matter what, people are just going to continue to indulge themselves in the merchandise and go to the parks until that entitlement crown is removed. And I don't know what to say about the future, but the future is looking pretty good with so far with the new regime. So time will tell.
I guess so.
The Starbucks tumbler was a prime example for me. I'm out. I went to our Starbucks here on base, and they had released the Cherry Blossom Spring Collection, and my jaw went to the ground because it was just so feminine and girly, and I was like, oh, I want the entire collection. I want all those colors in every corner of my house. I want it to look pink and dainty and like a tea house, and my girl brain was just exploding. And then I had this one passing thought: what if Starbucks and Disney? And then I paused and I said, I'm going to wait. And I kid you not, a few days later, Disney had dropped their own version of a Disney Starbucks tumbler with the Cherry Blossom collection. And I about hit the roof. And I hit up MJ like, oh my God, have you seen this? You're at the parks right now. Can you look out for this? I was going crazy, texting
I think
her,
I found it online for you, right? And I sent you the link. So you can get it right
and I was like, well, you're going to the parks. Can you keep an eye out for me? I'll send you the money, like anything. And and then they finally released it online. And I put it in my calendar on my phone and has set reminders. And I sat behind this computer 30 minutes before that dropped. And I got in, I bought 2 of those suckers.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, she just confirmed that she is just
So
as bad as those
guilty as
people.
charged.
Yes.
Oh no! You see, I was talking to the right person right here.
Erika, I'm so sorry to do this to you.
And so what we've tried to do is really bring that shape language from the architecture. But like what we love to talk about at WDI is shape language. And we often refer to shape language.
There's such iconic shape language in Spaceship Reveille Attraction. We really wanted to make sure that we fused to that throughout the space.
Sky Watchers, you've got access to that shape language emoji right there. I want to see a bunch of those in the chat.
Well, and they put the tomatoes in between the shape language emoji lady. So, because there's a running joke I have on that Park Place and other shows. Just throw the tomatoes at me, and they've been doing it. I love it.
I love it when Disney can merge a classic and timeless product that you can use all year round, but then it's themed in this understated way, and it's just so pretty and timeless. That's the kind of merch I gravitate to, which is why I liked their tumbler, because it wasn't just this tacky, bright, crazy colored, cup with just your typical Disney icons. No, it had hidden Mickeys on it mixed in with the cherry blossoms, and it was just so classy. And and that's the kind of like their home line. I love their home line because it's not in your face. So I can have Disney stuff around my house, but it's not in these crazy bright primary colors, that's bold and obnoxious. It blends in with my decor. It's understated and it's there. That's how I like to decorate when it comes to showcasing Disney elements in my house. I kind of like it to blend and not like slap you in the face like you're walking into a party city,
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put Erika's link in the chat, because if you want to see her decorating skills, and I kid you not, they're bar none.
Yeah, they're super good.
You gotta give those a watch. You need to subscribe to her channel and look at those videos, and
it's
you'll be
Halloween,
amazed.
first of all. I have not gotten into home decorating like that yet, but the ideas are here. It's just being overseas, I have a hard time buying a lot of this merch. It's easier said than done.
So true.
ASMR.
Well, Erika's the best at highlighting that merchandise and making it a real pop. Go ahead, Ron. Final thoughts on this story, and please.
This is all about Disney Channel specifically, the Disney Channel merch.
Disney Channel merch.
Because I don't really understand the whole Disney merchandise thing. I mean, it's like in our family, Disney merchandise. I mean, it hardly ever happens. Like, with what are they talking about? I don't have no idea.
You're so bad.
If I could flip it, it's so funny how much. I think about it. I'm like, we don't buy Disney merch that much. Then I look around. I'm like, oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, well, they get you.
To be fair, I have my ways of knowing how to get discounts. I have waited in a line not that dissimilar to that, but it was for an event for cast members when I was a cast member, because at the end of the year they'll have, and this is so funny. This is not like the Emporium where it's small, right? So a lot of people don't know this. If you're a cast member at Walt Disney World, they'll sometimes have these shopping events where some of the merchandise is like, you can get Christmas ornaments that's sold for $30 in the parks for $1. And so we have a beautiful Christmas tree because of that, with all this Disney stuff on it. But you have to like go in the hub and pick a time slot, and then you show up and you have your cast ID, and then that's all checked. And it's so funny because there's like thousands, right? Disney World employs 80,000 people. Okay, so when they have these events, there's a lot that show up. You go to ESPN and it's inside the arena. I mean, that's how big it is. So they have lines of this Disney merch, like you're on the arena floor and it's just lined up, and you got to go and you have a certain amount of time to pick it out, and you can only have. It's where I got the Groot animatronic thing that goes on my shoulder, but it's also a dancing animatronic. Those were like $60 or $70 in the parks, and I got them for $4.99 or something like that at the event. When it's amazing. But like, I would think, we often talk about the parks section of Disney, right? So, but merchandise is part of that. It is.
Yes, it is.
Parks, products, parks experiences, like that's all part of the same thing. And I would imagine that the profitability from the merch has to be right up there with everything else, because so so parks, the parks division, parks, cruise line, food, drink, beverages, bar tabs, merchandise, that all goes in to that. And as a matter of fact, I think I heard somewhere, I don't know if it's true or rumor or whatever, but that Josh tomorrow is even toying around with the idea of bringing the Disney store back in certain locations. So that was
I've heard about
nice.
it. Yeah.
I don't know if
think
that's
that's
true,
a hoax
but
rumor. Sorry.
it might be, but who knows? I could see it would work in certain locations, just not very many.
Yes, it would have to be very targeted.
But my point being, people love to engulf themselves in this merch because Disney.
I mean, look at the Yoshi popcorn buckets. Did you see those eBay resellers on the Yoshi?
Oh my God!
know.
How much were they?
Just dumb enough to buy one because I didn't get one.
Oh, but they were selling it for like
150.
That's
yeah,
insane.
I know.
That's
No,
like
when it comes to merchandise, if people out there that do have the money, that they'll want it, they'll find a way to get it.
They'll get it. Yeah, they'll
they
get it.
clamor
Yeah.
for this.
Mhm.
Certainly, I think Disney could be and have found certain ways of being a little bit more organized with this. For their solution, I thought was pretty good for the Figment bucket. The first year that it came out, they didn't have the solution. When it came out again, you would go on the My Disney Experience app and pre-buy it through the app, pick out a window to go pick it up, and you could get it that way. So that really, put the line down for it. And it's just, what? One thing that Disney has done right over the years is they've entrenched their brand in the minds of people enough that there's always going to be people out there wanting to get the merch.
It is so very true. I want to go ahead and thank Ron for coming on this amazing program right here and making it what it is. Good sir, I know you have to run and get ready for your program. Before starting up the next segment, I want to go ahead and be respectful of your time right there. Please go ahead, Ron. What do you got coming up on the dish following our lovely program today?
We are going to talk a little bit more, dive into the layoffs that are going on at Marvel, at Disney, what's going on with that, other theme park stuff, and interestingly enough, some of the things that Universal is doing to entice Disney fans over to come to Universal. And we also have the Figment Popcorn Bucket giveaway. Yes, today will be the day on our live show that we will give this away to one of the members who has entered the drawing for the Figment Popcorn Bucket. So this thing that people waited 8 hours in line to purchase a few years ago, you're going to be able to get just by showing up to the dish.
That's fantastic. Super cool there, Ryan. I had no idea you were doing that right there. Hey, people were waiting in 8-hour lines just to get that popcorn bucket right there. Make sure you watch the dish in order to be eligible to get your very own. Ron, I want to go ahead and thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on and support the show. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we're going to be redirecting to Ron's dish after this program right here. Well, it's set, so you're in good shape right there. Thank you so much. Good sir.
See you real soon. I got to go get in line at the Emporium.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Good luck, and please, watch anybody who's might be taking their arms right there and jostling for a position when it comes to getting their hands on this merch. Erika, how long do we have you for? Are you going to be okay for one more segment?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I want to be respectful of your time.
My evening is clear.
Let's
Evening is clear.
We've got a super chat here we want to get to before the next segment.
Go and Shogi coming on in here with the $5. Thank you so much, MJ. And thank you so much, Go and Shogi, for not only your amazing super chat, thank you, but also for moderating. Keep that chat clean for us. Disney Afternoon. Greater than Disney Channel. The themed songs alone are Hall of Fame level. Yes, I do agree with you.
100%. Absolutely.
When they leaned the Disney Afternoon
Yeah.
for Disney Channel night in years prior, thought it was a little bit better than maybe just the ambiguous Disney Channel. But hey, they each have their fans, as we've learned with this merchandise drop. It is crazy. So very, very cool stuff. Go and Choki, thank you so much for that. Okay, time for our lead topic right here. This one's a very interesting one because, you could take a lot of interpretations from this, but as we incorporate AI into our everyday lives, Disney's thinking the same thing. They're thinking about how they're going to incorporate AI into their workplace. Now, I can see a lot of efficiencies actually being done through the use of AI that could help out productivity for numerous cast members in various positions and so forth. I never really thought about incorporating it into Imagineering to make up for Disney Legends or maybe their institutional memory problem, but apparently that might be what they're thinking about or looking to implement when it comes to their AI Jarvis. We'll get into that in just a second. From Inc.com, how Disney Imagineering has increased its pace of innovation by thinking like a startup. To create Disney's magical park experiences, Bruce Vaughn, head of Disney Imagineering, draws from his tech startup background. This by Chris Morris right here, April 5th, 2026. If people don't know, Bruce Vaughn, he did lead Imagineering for a number of years before actually going away and taking a hiatus from Imagineering, and did start up his own tech company for a period of time. Then was brought back in under the tutelage of Josh D'Amaro in an effort to maybe reorg and restore Imagineering to its former glory after it had suffered some tremendous losses during the Bob Chapek era. If we go forward right here, Bruce Vaughn has spent 26 years of his working life as a Walt Disney Imagineer, creating the innovative experiences like animatronics and rides that guests encounter at the company's theme parks and cruise ships. But between his first 22-year run at the company and his current role, where he serves as president and chief creative officer of the company's experiential creativity hub, Vaughn left to run a tech startup. He credits that entrepreneurial run as the source for many of the changes he has brought to the Imagineering today. We're going to skip a little bit of this article right here because I really want to go ahead and get to the meat and potatoes of this discussion with our very little time that we have left. There you go. Let's see right here. One of the first changes that Bruce Vaughn implemented was a streamlined decision-making process, doing away with as much of the bureaucracy that comes with any multi-billion-dollar company as possible. Quote, in a large company, there are a lot of people who can say no, who might not know what they're talking about, he says. In a small company, when you're the CEO, you have a board and you know what happens if you screw up, what you make, but you make the decision. A yes is a yes. They're sticky decisions and they move fast. So you can be fast and nimble. I would have preferred a little bit of time exercise when it came to the axing of Rivers of America. I thought that was a little bit too fast in my opinion right there. But c'est la vie, that decision has already been made. And it really kind of speaks to the difference between Universal Creative and Imagineering in that one sentence, right? Because Universal Creative moves extremely quickly. I mean, Jason Sorrell did not mince words. Former Imagineer, by the way, wrote a couple of books on Imagineering. He was saying, look, I went to Universal Creative because we don't have meetings about meetings. We have meetings to build theme park attractions. And looks like Bruce Vaughn wants to go ahead and copy that to some degree. I'm going to go ahead and move down a little bit right here and to this one right here. Like many startups, Imagineering is also leaning into artificial intelligence to help decision making. The team has an archive of 70 years worth of ideas, sketches, maintenance notes, and more, which it has fed into an internal AI system for Imagineers dubbed Jarvis, a nod to Tony Stark's digital assistant in the Iron Man films. And that makes it easier to mine the previous ideas and learn for new inspiration. But Vaughn is careful to note that AI acts as a supplement and won't be taking over any of the roles of any Imagineers. Quote, Jarvis doesn't actually solve problems, but Jarvis can quickly iterate, he says. Imagineers are using this tool now, where we can reach back, make sure that we can understand all of the disparate learnings over the decades, as well as over geography. Communication, when you're as big and moving as fast as we are, is the most difficult thing. These tools are great at that. What he's referring to and what this Jarvis is doing, you have so many young Imagineers, right? People straight out of college, straight out of architectural school and everything else, design school. And they're being placed into roles in which they're handling multi-million-dollar projects. And previously, you would have otherwise had, like in Tony Baxter's experience, for example, right? Tony Baxter, famous Imagineer, went on to create stuff like Indiana Jones Adventure, Splash Mountain, Star Tours, all those different things right there, right? He was taken under the tutelage of Claude Coates back in the day, which, by the way, that was one of the, I believe it was one of the 9 Old Men. If it wasn't one of the 9 Old Men, right, because 9 Old Men were animators, sorry. He was a background artist, right, for like Snow White, Pinocchio, and so forth. If that's how far back he goes in the company's history, Claude Coates does. And he was brought on by Walt Disney himself in order to be an Imagineer. Did a lot of great work with like the dark rides from Fantasyland, for example, worked on Mine Train and Nature's Wonderland, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, and otherwise. Well, Tony learned from Claude how to be an Imagineer. He also learned from Mark Davis and everybody else who was working as part of that first gen, now the second gen of Imagineers, Tony was. So he got a very deep understanding of how to be in that role and what lessons were learned from those before him. Okay? When you have 90% of the workforce of Imagineering leave just like that because of the effects of the pandemic, because of the effects of the move to Lake Nona that never happened and so forth, a lot of your institutional talent left and is gone. So you have this new wave of people coming in here straight from design school, like I just said it before. Who will teach them the ropes? That's been a big, big problem because we've seen a lot of these things. Erika, I know you're nodding your head right there. You know what I'm talking about. We've seen a lot of these mistakes that a current Imagineering has done, right? And it's like, wait a minute, we figured this out 50 years ago, 40 years ago. Why, in fact, are you learning this all over again? It's because that institutional memory, that learning process by which you actually pass down these things through successive generations and new people that actually come into the organization is simply not occurring right now. And it's very fascinating how Disney, Bruce Vaughn that is utilizing AI to overcome the issues related to not having a Joe Doty or a Tony Baxter or a Bruce Gordon or any of these other amazing Imagineers to learn from. Very interesting stuff. Erika, I want to go ahead and go to you first right here. What do you think of implementing a system like Jarvis to mine previous works, to try to glean the lessons that maybe should have been passed down by Imagineers themselves? What say you?
Well, considering the position they're in now, what choice do they have? Because those former Imagineers, to my understanding, don't want to come back. A lot of them that have moved on are making anywhere from 3 to 5 times what they were making as Imagineers. And a lot of the reason they had stayed Imagineers for so long was because they were part of this legacy. And they felt like they were really a part of something rich. And when modern day Disney came in during and just after the pandemic, and they showed a completely different hand, a completely different side, and they either intentionally let people go or they drove them out on purpose, you know, and it's like, now look at the state of what your company is in. What did you think was going to happen?
It's a fair point.
A lot of these people don't want to come back because they're taking a serious pay cut. I know that from one person, you know, within our immediate, you know, circle. And,
right,
you know, people aren't just going to up and, you know, especially if they've got families to provide for, you know. But
and that's
when it,
okay.
I really wish Disney, and I know we've kind of seen this throughout the history where Imagineering, you know, they'll have this high regard and respect, and then all of a sudden they get slapped down. It's just kind of been this roller coaster, you know, and it's really sad because those of us who are outsiders looking in and are, you know, Disney enthusiasts, we see something beyond just ourselves with what they've been creating since Walt's era. And it just seems like those that are in the C-suite, they've just lost touch. It's like they don't even recognize the history, the legacy, and they just never really appreciated it. Hence where we're at today and the decisions that were made. So now they have to lean into a technology and artificial intelligence to fill in the gap. And they shouldn't even be in this position. They should have valued what they had, and that was Walt. And that generational of passing on the baton from Walt all the way up until the pandemic. That's a lot of history, and they just kind of, doesn't matter. All of a sudden, they just decided, poof, you know, all because they wanted to get into, you know, mixing politics with their business, and it has not worked. It has not fared out well with them, as we've seen, because we've just seen them, frankly, flounder as a company for the last, 5 years.
It's so true. I mean, it's been a while, and honestly, it has to do with a lot of the transformative changes that occurred around 2019, 2020. You know, there's a reason why so many people said, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this Imagineering game any longer. I don't know if that was a single event. I think it was multiple, including Bob Chapek himself, which, you know, I've given kudos to Bob Chapek in the past. Unfortunately, with Imagineering, just didn't treat them right. And honestly, when you look at a lot of these legendary Imagineers that we so love and unfortunately have left the company, one of the reasons why is because, well, just like Erika pointed out right there, it's expensive to retain that talent. And it's like Disney doesn't want to pay those wages, and so that's why they substitute those positions out with people just coming out of school. The problem is when you don't have enough of those old timers in order to pass down those lessons, where do they learn them? And I think this is really a fundamental problem that's been occurring with Imagineering. It's why, for example, just build a Pandora for Disney's California Adventure, right? In a very similar vein, which you did in Animal Kingdom. It's like those people who made that possible are simply just no longer there. And to recreate that is immense. You might as well be designing a new project, and thus that's what we're actually seeing right here. there are operational issues that occur with this, right? These lessons that Imagineering had to learn the hard way now have to be learned all over again. There's just a lot of problems that come along with this. MJ, do you think the quality of Imagineering projects and how we have criticized them to a fair degree, even the big ones, even the most noteworthy ones, do you think they have their origins with maybe losing out on institutional talent, maybe not having the people like the Joe Rohde there to say, hey, hold on a second, don't do this instead? Or do you think there are more systemic issues at play? What say you?
No, I agree with you. My gosh, Rohde. I follow him on Instagram, and it's just when you think about all the great people that had their hands involved with the parks and what we remember the parks as they were, and it just doesn't surprise me, because the problem with the generational, like you were saying, they hired these people straight out of school and et cetera. Yeah, you might know how to work the technology, but do you have the creativity and the storytelling touch to attract the audience, to bring people to laughter and tears? Because that's what good storytelling was all about. Look at old classic films like Snow White, Robin Hood, the Aristocats, the Mary Poppins. All of those original films had. I don't think we were paying attention so close to the way the characters were drawn. Yes, the drawings are beautiful; they're magnificent. But we were more of the dialogue and the story behind it, and how we personally can relate to all of those stories that they were telling. And that's why those movies are always going to be, beloved to us. So I don't think this group of people that they have, I think they're realizing we made a mistake. We shouldn't be hiring people. They got to have more than just one skill. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not trying to say anything, because I have kids that are 21, 23 years old, and I'm trying to still get them, hey, you need to think outside the box. Things are not just this way. There's this way, and you have to have that model in order to be you're working for a creative company. And if you don't have any creativity and you can't think outside the box, then you should not be there.
I would say that it's really interesting, because I think I've heard Jonas say this in the past, where it's like this company was almost inherited by others, right? And a lot of their assets, a lot of the great things that we all enjoy have been almost inherited by this new executive class, this executive leadership here. And I think Imagineers feel that to some degree as well. And if you don't have a lot of the institutional Imagineers, or a lot of the kind of legacy or legend talent, right, to kind of I don't know, pass the importance down of some of these ideas and some of these things that kind of date back to Walt's era, then you are more likely to remove them, frankly. And that's kind of what we saw with Rivers of America, right? I think if you had like a Jim Shung or Joe Rohde, or maybe even Eddie Sato, or some of these other Imagineers still working there, do we in fact go forward with a Rivers of America project because they understand, like, hold on a second, this has more importance than just, this real estate in which we can go ahead and mine for an expansion? Maybe. And maybe you do have some legacy voices or some legend voices that maybe can push back against management and say, no, this is worth keeping. We can fold this into better ideas. Let us do that. Instead, you've got people who are taking jobs or given jobs by obviously management to expand their parks, or put in these new installations, these new experiences, etc., and don't maybe recognize the value in what was there before, and maybe don't understand the fundamentals of creating these things, like the legends kind of learned from former legends before them. It's really interesting stuff. I don't know if Jarvis is going to overcome that, but it's interesting how the Disney company, through Bruce Vaughn's interview right here with Inc., is kind of, admitting that is kind of an issue for them. Erika, it sounded like you were going to say something.
Yeah, I have
ahead,
one
please.
concern, and
Sure.
I'm hoping that this Jarvis wouldn't replace some of these engineers, not necessarily Imagineers, but I'm talking about engineers that work alongside Imagineering, where they're industrial engineers or they're simulation engineers. So they're basically the problem solvers and the ones that save money on these projects. And essentially Jarvis, I guess, is coming in to kind of replace that. I mean, in a way that would suck. Or what I'm hoping is that maybe this is an AI tool that those engineers can use, because maybe it cuts the time in half for them to, when they're doing their research. Because a lot of that also involves research. And there is just an insane amount of hours put into research before you finally come to the table and say, okay, here are the solutions I've come up with, you know, and this is maybe 1, 2, 3 options we can go with, or this is your only solution. And then we're shaving off millions of dollars doing it this way. You know, whatever it is, they come to the table with problem solving for some of these Imagineering teams. So I just hope they're not, well, you know what? They are. Well, I mean, they are cutting 1,000 jobs. Are they cutting engineers and Imagineers with this 1,000?
No, it doesn't appear that
Good.
any of those cuts are related to the experiences division at all. It looks like those cuts are being are really affecting home entertainment, for one. That's been completely shut down. Also to promotion, so like marketing, advertising, and a lot of Marvel in there, which was concerning there. But a lot of the facilitation and logistics surrounding the company's entertainment product, not so much the parks. But to your point, I mean, who knows when these cuts do get shared by the experiences division, if in fact they can't turn it around on the entertainment side.
I mean, look, it looks like Disney, for better or for worse, they have entered into an era of a renaissance with engineering, because they've let go of all the elder good ones that came from Walt's era and were trained generationally, one to the other. And now they're literally starting over. So there's going to be a lot of trial and error again. They're in a way they're reinventing the wheel when they didn't have to. But they have put themselves, and it's actually more expensive to start over like this than it is to have kept what you had to begin with that had already problem solved.
That's a good point.
And troubleshooted a lot of creative or even technological things. Now you're going back with a whole new generation, because you're literally scouting from college, and these kids, you know, So it's going to be a lot, and we already see it. We see it with Tiana's Bayou. We see the mistakes. You know, it's on stage, right? We're seeing what this new, and I think we're going to see more of that, and it's just going to be continuous until it gradually gets better and better. And it's going to take time, you know, and it is what it is. This is just what, unfortunately, unless we get lucky down the road and some of these old timers, or that are folks that are our age or a little older than us, maybe will want to come back. You never know. Maybe someone will just be like, you know what, I have this calling and it's more than just money to me, and I'm willing to go back and help, because that's just, you know, sometimes the calling is greater than just, you know, your direct deposits, you know.
That's true. I am kind of surprised, actually, that Bruce Vaughn or Josh Tomorrow didn't make a play for like a Joe Rohde or something. Somebody who could say to the industry, yeah, we're back to creating and we want to welcome everybody, whether past, present, future, into this organization. As long as you can create for us, great. But I think, you know, they don't want to have the baggage that comes along with that. Yeah.
There's too many, you know, conditions. Oh, we want you back, but under these terms and conditions. And you can't put an artist in a box like that.
Right.
a lot of artists, I don't care if you're a musician, an actor, a writer, you start telling them what they can't do, and they're going to, that artist ego is huge. They come in and they'll let you know real quick, I don't work that way. Either you're hiring me because of how I'm an outside abstract thinker, and this is what I can bring to the table, but you cannot put my abstract thinking in a box like that, just into spreadsheets and corporate jargon. You've got to let me create unlimitedly. And Disney also has a problem with, they're not willing to take risks like that anymore. It's like they're living in fear. They're letting fear control them, fear of, not making money. And it's like, y'all need to knock it off, because Walt was a lot more trusting. And you know what? Let's just create, and let's trust that what we're putting out there, the money will come.
I agree with you 100%, Erika. I'm thinking about, I don't remember if it was a documentary or if it was just a short clip that I watched. And it was just about Walt taking chances, being daring, and handing the baton over to someone and says, okay, let's see what you come up with. I wish I could pull that out of the library, but I'm just thinking about that, taking chances and where it could lead to, because that's what they did. They're the pioneers of taking a chance.
He was, Walt was such a risk taker. Bet the company his own personal fortunes on multiple things, multiple times. Bet it all on things like Snow White, Disneyland, and Walt Disney World, and came out way ahead, which was a tremendous testament to, Walt Disney himself, his brother Roy, and so forth, that he was able to make that possible right there. I kind of laugh and chuckle when Josh Umar was like, he was asked, I think, by David Muir during one of his first interviews, as after having been announced to be the next CEO, he was like, "Oh yeah, you're a risk taker." He's like, "Yeah, we take risk." And it's like, no, you don't. It's all about containing risk. It's all about risk assessment. What are you talking about? It's just like, it's ridiculous. But that's the thing. Anything is possible, especially in Imagineering, as long as you have the courage to pursue it. And I hope, in fact, Imagineering does. And maybe, as Erika pointed out right there, the window between coaching these Imagineers up and getting it all worked out is shortened by Jarvis. We'll see how it all works. It could end up being a good thing, but again, we'll see. Double Bear coming in here with the 499 British pounds sterling here. If this new book comes out and is what I suspected, The Money Trail will explain the entire list of crazy decisions that have plagued the past decade. I believe this.
What book?
Yeah, the book coming out. It is Robbie Williams' book from the Wall Street Journal, talking about the the kind of Bob Chapek, Bob Iger era of Disney, right? That very tumultuous time between, I would say, 2019 and 2023, 4 thereabouts, right? Apparently, there's a big book on the way. Disney, via Bob Iger, has been trying to stop it and its production right there. Very interesting stuff, Erika. I would implore you to go back to our previous catalog of live streams and listen to that one, the Bob Iger versus free speech, because I think it's very interesting what's going on right there. Thanking Heretic with the $2. And thank you, Demo Bear, for your amazing patrons. Thank you so much. Thanking Heretic with the $2. Thank you very much. Disney traded real intelligence for artificial. Yes, they did. Because artificial, well, like I said, doesn't have the baggage or the price tag attached to it like real intelligence does. Thank you, Thinking Heretic, and Space Dave 2000 coming in here with the amazing commentary. Disney's too proud to backstep on this. I think of someone like Braden of Mickey Views. He dreamt of becoming an Imagineer. He's sure glad. I'm sure that he didn't head that route now. Wow, yeah, indeed, right. It's like we all have this dream of being an Imagineer, especially for people who love these parks. And when you look at it now, it's like, ooh, man, I'm maybe glad I didn't.
I wanted to be in animation. That was my childhood dream.
Oh, that's so cool.
I wanted to be in like some kind of animation production, but life had other plans for me. It's all good.
Like hanging with Erika and Ref. Erika, please, where can people find you out there? What do you got coming on over there in your live stream that occurs every single Friday right there, Brew Banter?
So yeah, Fridays we have a live stream called Brood Banter where me and Raph just sit around with friends and we kick back with our brew and talk about anything and everything under the sun. This week we're more organized than we were last week. Last week was kind of crazy. I have been.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I had like no topics in the shoot. It was kind of a disaster. But this week we're more organized, got some funnies. We love to laugh, keep it light, especially at the end of the week and the beginning of the weekends. And then if you want to see old videos, we've been in Germany for the last technically 12 years, but we've only just been in the YouTube space maybe a little over a year. And we started out with vlogs locally here where we live. We're expats, and early empty nesters. So, and we're still trying to figure out the channel as a whole. But we have a lot of, Halloween content, from Halloween decorating to life in Germany, like the holidays. And then we started, right now streaming has been really fun. Just hanging out with friends live and you guys in chat, we love all you guys.
Very cool. Awesome stuff. Well, Erika, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're very busy right now with a lot of stuff going on and you're in that neck of the woods right there. So I'm very appreciative to have you on, at least for a little bit before the dish, which we have to redirect to. But before we get to that, MJ, where can the people find you out there? Producer extraordinaire of Vash Sky ParkCast.
Oh, thanks, Vash. You guys can find me here and a few other channels. I'm not a YouTuber, but I have on my channel the list of all the shows that I'm on, so you know where to find me. And I'm on X and Instagram, and it's always a pleasure being here with you guys. Just remember, everybody, no matter what kind of news, positive or negative, just live every day to your fullest and hug your dear ones dearly. Hold on to them very tight because tomorrow's not promised. And I always tell everybody that all the time. Just be blessed because every day is a blessed day to be alive. Seriously.
Absolutely. So very true. Man, it really got me thinking when, we had Eddie Sato and Adam the Woo unfortunately pass away almost at the same time period. I was like, oh, goodness. So
speaking of pioneers, those are the pioneers. Adam the Woo was a pioneer. Yeah. And, if you guys are out there and you're listening and you're down in the dumps and you don't know what to do, just get an idea and do it. You can do anything you want. The sky is literally the limit. And I'm sorry, Vash, no pun intended. But
no, you're good.
Just don't even think about it. Just do it, because the more you procrastinate, it's not going to happen.
That's why we started. We had gone stagnant on the channel for so long. And when Adam passed, I told Raph, I was like, look, we aren't promised tomorrow. And it'd be nice to leave something behind for, maybe grandkids and beyond, So our channel it's more than just wanting to be monetized. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. But the primary reason is just, it's us, it's mom and dad or grandma and grandpa,
Indeed.
And I'd like to I wish I had had videos of my grandparents and even my great grandparents. And that's my biggest regret.
So very, very true. Tomorrow's not guaranteed for sure. Hey, live the moment with those around you. I like Vixen's comment on this. Don't give flowers to people after they pass. Give flowers to them now when they can be properly appreciated.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on into Vash Sky ParkCast. I think that was a great show right there, talking about all kinds of topics. And boy, we only covered like 5 or 6 of them. Folks, I've got like 10 more. And we're going to include as many of them as possible right there tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, because I think some of these are unbelievably important. It's just, there's so many of them, you just can't include them all in one show. Like, for example, is Disney scamming people with lightning lane times? So I'm not saying that necessarily, but people have noticed, wait a minute, there have been great disparities between what is posted outside and what people actually wait on the inside. We'll explore that commentary and much, much more. Like, for example, sneaking kids into Disneyland. It's crazy, but apparently that did happen. Yeah,
the face is like smushed in the mesh. I'm like, where is the Department of Children and
It's wild. We also have hot takes. I know. And that's not even maybe the craziest of the stories there, because we have, Universal Express doing Universal Express Now. That's an interesting product. We'll be keeping in touch on that. Maybe a little bit more Avatar commentary as well, because as that Park Place listeners found out, there have been permits filed, and well, they're very interesting to go over as well. That and a whole bunch more. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Join us for tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. To go over those topics and much, much more. I think that just about covers it. If you are a member, which by the way, I think we had a little over 10 new members here, well, that entitles you to the Saturday show with Vash and Vixen. Sorry about that. At 3 p.m. Eastern right there. Let's go ahead and get you on over to Ron. Remember, you Skyliners, you Skywatchers, as MJ did say, the sky is the limit.